Hey, what's up guys? Guardian here, coming to you guys with a really special video today. So today I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to everyone that watches my videos. We've got a very special one today because today I kind of wanted to celebrate some milestones that I've personally reached, which I'm really happy with, and also celebrate as well. Because we have a couple of things here. So first of all, if I've planned this correctly, this will actually be my 100th video on the channel, which is insane to think that I've done 100 videos on here already. It has slowly been over the past few years, but that is another thing, is that I also come to notice that the Guardian 285 channel has come up to its 5th year anniversary, which is insane to me. I made this channel back in 2016 on February 25th. And you're probably wondering, well, why is this video on the 24th, right? Well, that's because we have other videos coming out. As you see in front of you, we have my Ezel cards here. We have the old school Incandescent Lion Blond Ezel from set 6. And we also have the good old cross ride with Platina Ezel right here. And I wanted to showcase them just because, you know, Ezel was the first ever deck that I created in Vanguard, and it's insane to think that I've been playing the game for so long now, and, you know, with these milestones and celebratory dates coming up, I just wanted to do something that was a bit more closer to me, and I have actually been playing a variant of Ezel for the V series for the past month or two, I think, roughly, and it's been very fun. It's basically been using the support that we got from set 12, and it's probably the funnest variant of Ezel that I have played from the V series, and I'm really looking forward to showcasing you guys. So if you'd like to check the video out and see the deck profile, I'll put a timestamp in the description. But yeah, the idea with this is that I'm going to be doing a standard deck profile for Ezel today, and then tomorrow I will be showcasing a premium deck profile for Ezel, to sort of show the comparison between the two and how they kind of change between the formats, right? Because obviously for premium, we have a G-Zone, and we also have some older Ezel cards that we can utilize for different plays, which is really, really cool. And the other upside as well is that the premium deck actually uses a lot of the cards from my standard deck. So it's not too much of a transition. So it's easier to notice the changes that have been made from standard into premium, right? So that's pretty cool there. But yeah, we'll also have a very short couple of minute thank you video coming out on the 26th, which is also coincidentally the Vanguard anniversary, the 10-year anniversary for Vanguard, which is insane as well. But yeah, this video is just going to start things off. We're going to start with the standard Ezel deck today, then we're going to go into the premium one on the 25th, and then we'll be going into the short thank you video for Bushiroad and for Vanguard as a whole to just celebrate the 10 years that the game has gone on for, which is just amazing for me, right? So we're going to put these old school guys to the side because obviously we have new versions of them with, obviously today, the start of the deck is going to be the new Blazing Lion Platina Ezel. So this is the standard variant of the deck for Ezel that I'm going to be showing. And it's really, really fun to play. Like, honestly, it's probably the most fun that I've had with an Ezel deck with the V-Series, honestly. Because the past builds, they were kind of cool and gimmicky, but this one has a really nice flow to it. And I really, really like playing it. It's probably one of my favorite decks to play for the V-Series format. So yeah, so let's get stuck into this. Once more, thank you everyone, and yeah, let's just keep trucking on, right? So I'll do what I do best, right? And that's making deck profile videos, right? So to start with, for the standard Ezel deck, we are playing 4 copies of Blazing Lion Platina Ezel. So I haven't really done this before with Platina. It was always a really awkward card to build around in some of the older Ezel decks where you pretty much only wanted to play 2 or 3 at most because it's a very late game card. But the cool thing with this deck is that this is actually the main ride target that we want to get to. And we can kind of do alternative plays that help us benefit towards its entire skill, where you need 2 grade 3s in Soul. And you probably guessed this already, but we have some pretty nice utility cards that can help get those grade 3s into the Soul a bit easier. So yeah, the idea is that you kind of want to see extra copies of Platina because you want to be able to rewrite it and add to that grade 3 count into your Soul, as well as the consistency elements of the other support cards that we have that will also get grade 3s into your Soul as well. So yeah, of course we should all know what Platina Ezel does by now, I assume, but if not, the skill's on the screen for you to read. But we're essentially trying to aim for that 2 checks on the top of the deck for each drive check, not just the one. But even if you just do the one, it's still okay, because it's a CB and you're getting a plus out of it. Counterblast 1 for a plus is always very, very nice. So yeah, starting of the deck off with the star, which is 4 Platina Ezel. And now for the next card, you could say this was the star of set 12, really, even though you'd like to think it was Gurgwit, but let's be honest, it wasn't. It was about this guy, Percival. So Percival, as we all know, it got limited, or restricted, I should say, with Gurgwit to the point where you can't play this in a Gurgwit deck anymore. But that's okay, because you can play it in other variants of Gold Paladin, like Ezel. You've got Aglovale, and soon we'll have Spectral Duke to play around with as well. So this card will still be very well utilized. And like I said, the way this deck works is that you're going to be aiming to get those 2 grade 3s into your Soul. So having the Percival be able to not just give you an Accel Circle, but also giving you a plus in the form of Aglovale, which has the skill to put Rearguards into your Soul, is amazing, because that will basically just put the Percival into the Soul for you, giving you that grade 3 that you need. So all you need to do is one of 2 things. Either successfully get the Superior Ride-Off with Blond Ezel, which yes, we do have that in the deck, which we'll get to in a second. But you can also just do it via riding a second Platina, right? So you can ride Platina, get a Percival, put it into the Soul with your Aglovale, and then if you ride a second Platina Ezel, you have the 2 grade 3s in Soul, right? Pretty simple. You're not really going through too many loops in order to get to this, right? So that's pretty nice. But you do have a faster way of doing it, but it's a little bit less reliant, just because we're only really utilizing one Superior Ride engine for Blond Ezel, since I didn't want to include both of them, since you kind of have to run some older and slightly worse cards in order to do that. So, and I wanted to just play like more good stuff, essentially. Like more good stuff, more like resource intuitive, and just more resourceful cards overall. So yeah, Percival, solid card, and definitely very helpful to go along with our Platina Ezel to aim for that skill goal. And then next for grade 3s, we have 2 Sagramore. This is again just more along the lines of good stuff. Soul Blast for a +1 in the form of a draw, and then you call something from your hand to the rearguard circle. Very useful, especially if we have cards like Dindrane in our hand that we need to call out to get their skills off, to get either a draw or a counter charge, which is, you know, both lines are pretty viable, let's be fair. But yeah, 2 copies of Sagramore. It's all like a really fit in, but it's also just more grade 3s for you to chuck into the Soul. With your Aglovales, if you do end up seeing extra copies of them. So this could be another grade 3 to put in, just in case you don't have the second Platina to re-ride. So yeah, getting extra pluses from Sagramore, always nice. And it does have that line of play where you can call it from hand with Wonder Ezel, the grade 2, to get extra attacks off, but it's just not too much of a focus, since you have to kind of play around numbers with that, since, you know, if your opponent gets a defensive, you need to make sure that you've got something to then support the Sagramore, to then boost it to a power threshold that can get over that defensive, right? So yeah, 2 copies of Sagramore is pretty nice for the deck. And then the last grade 3, and I have been waiting to show this for a while now, but we have 1 copy of Blond Ezel. And yes, I picked up the image rare version of this card. It looks absolutely insane. Really, really cool. I did want this back in the day, but I think at the time set 3 was coming out, and I just had to save my money up for like, you know, the royal stuff, the gold stuff with like Monarch Alfred, Raven Ezel, And also, I really wanted to get the Aichi marker as well, which was going to cost me a pretty penny. So I had to take an F somewhere, and unfortunately, Gold Paladin took the F then, so I didn't get this back then, and I also didn't get like the Corrin marker either. So, but yeah, Royals was like my main focus then. But I did eventually pick this up not too long ago, actually. And also, shout out to my friend Wingy, because he was the one that actually pointed this out to me, and I saw it for a really good price. So yeah, really happy to own this, and you only need one Blond Ezel for the deck, by the way. Since this isn't like, it's one line of play that you can go down, which is the superior ride, but it's not like like a make it or break it sort of deal, right? It's like, if you get it, you get it, but if not, you have other lines of play that can still work towards getting to your end goal, which is Platina Ezel and getting those 2 grade 3s, right? But of course, the superior ride is just super, super strong, because if you do get it, you're essentially your Vanguard's a grade 3, right? So what can you do? You can call grade 3s. Percival, hello. So, it's really damn strong. It's very high rolly though, because I only have the one superior ride engine in the deck. But it's like I said, like, if I wanted to be like more consistent with this, I would have to play things like the Bowmans, the Gareth, and then probably more copies of Blond Ezel, which honestly I just don't really want to do that, because I'd have to take out so many other good things to make room for that I feel like it would just hinder the deck's performance overall. So that's kind of the way I went about it. But yeah, one copy of Blond Ezel. Really, really happy to have this, guys. I've been waiting to show this. I was thinking about posting it on Facebook, but I thought, nah, we'll save it for this video. So there's a little treat for you there. So that is the grade 3s. So we'll go into the grade 2s. We have of course, the partner for Percival. We have Aglovale, the good old Legion mate for Percival back in the day. But yeah, insane card, because it's a really good ride target. Gives you a +1, counterblast 1, look at top 3, call 1 to rear. Really solid. But let's be honest, it's the soul skill that I love this card for. When it attacks, put something into your soul, give it 10k, and then it returns to your hand at the end of the battle. Really solid. It incentivizes the opponent to attack your Vanguard, because you won't have the rears for them to attack, so you can kind of like play around the counterplay there by sorting your field out in a particular way. You're getting the ride target as well, so because the other grade 2s in the deck, besides on the Wonder Ezel, so if you don't see the Wonder Ezel for the superior ride, at least you have something that's decent that can give you a plus at least. So that's really, really nice. But yeah, 4 copies. You could maybe play around with like less copies of this if you wanted to, but honestly, the more pluses you're getting out of Percival, in my opinion, the better. So for me, I just think playing 4 of it is just more solid, and you have more constant access to the in-soul skill as well for the grade 3s. So, moving on to the rest of the grade 2s. Of course, we are playing the 4 copies of Wonder Ezel. So, like I said, this is the superior ride element of the deck. It's just the better one, in my opinion, since you only really need to play the one Blond Ezel, since you're riding it from the deck anyway, and that's all you really care about. So you don't really need more copies of Blond Ezel for that reason. But also, Wonder Ezel is just nice utility as well. When it's called to rear from anywhere, you can call a card from your hand to the rear guard circle. So it allows you to activate your on-play skills that need to be called by abilities, which is very important since we do have a couple of cards in the deck that do require that. But yeah, Superior Ride, it's pretty straightforward to why we have that in the deck. And then the last grade 2 of the deck, we are simply playing 2 copies of Berengaria. So I wanted to play 2 of this because the deck can be pretty resource intensive, especially with Platina and Percival in the deck, because both of these cards require CB. So it's very important to be able to, bring back your resources whenever you can, and basically controlling them to the point where you're not really going to be stuck in a scenario that's awkward for you, where, your CB denied or something like that. As long as you can preserve your resources effectively enough, then you should be okay preserving to use these skills whenever you can, since the Ezel pretty much requires you a CB every turn. So that's something to keep into mind there, at the very least. So yeah, 2 copies of these. And also it gives us a nice grid, 10 grade 2s to work with, which I think is okay, especially with the space that we have to work with in the deck. So that's that. So then we have the grade 1s. We are going to be playing the grade 3 Searcher with Gorboduc, of course. Very solid just because it's more consistency, helps to see our Platina Ezels for the extra rides, for the grade 3s, and yeah, I mean, generally speaking as well, it can help search out other cards like your Percival, so you can slam that down the field more often, and also your Sagramores as well for extra pluses. Also, the other cool thing about this is that it's a 13k, which means it's really good for actually attacking and boosting as well. Especially boosting, because sometimes you do need that extra hand to get over defensives from the opponent, and this can help you get over those thresholds, right? It's like what I said before with Sagramore, and this is definitely something that can help you do that. So, very nice card for the deck, and I definitely recommend playing that. So, next for the deck, and this is something that I see Gurgwit use actually, but they're not actually able to utilize it due to the fact that they're on a Gurgwit Vanguard, right? So I'm playing the 4 copies of Howell, of course, since we do need this anyway for the Superior Ride. But the cool thing with the deck is that this card can be utilized with Ezel, since this is an Ezel-focused deck. So we can actually utilize this a bit more often in this deck. So at the end of the battle that it boosts, if you have an Ezel Vanguard, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1, put them into your soul, draw a card, and then call a card from your hand. So it's basically a Counterblast version of Sagramore, but, you know, we have the 4 copies instead of the 2, and it's also, you know, Ezel restricted. So when you see decks like Gurgwit using this card, it's more times than often being dead, but the only reason they did that anyway was just so that they could Superior Ride into the Blond Ezel quicker, and then get into the grade 3 turn faster, right? So they can build up the Excel markers and they get the power allocation going. But with this deck, we're just focusing around Ezel and what we can do with Ezel himself. So Howell can be a lot more utilized in this deck over Gurgwit, which I really think is really, really cool. So 4 copies of him, and then next we have the 4 copies of Dindrane, of course. I mean, it's like I said before, Dindrane's just in every gold paladin deck, it seems. But yeah, it's draw power if you need it, it's counter charge if you need it, just cost a Soul Blast. So it's really, really solid, and pretty much no other reason to play, you know, there's no reason not to play 4 of this, right? And with the 2 Berengaria as well, we pretty much have 6 outlets of counter charge, which is really, really solid, like I said. We need to make sure that we're balancing our resources effectively enough with, you know, both Platina and Percival. So yeah, Dindrane comes in really handy for that. So last but not least, we have the grade 0s. We have, of course, our starter, which is going to be Springbeast Messenger. Since we don't need Criff in the deck, since we don't play Bowmains or Gareth, so even though we have the Blond Ezel grade 3, we don't need to play Criff. And also, playing Criff might actually give them an indicator about the deck that we're playing, whereas Springbeast Messenger doesn't. You know, it could be anything. Could be Gurgwit, could be Aglovale, could be Garmore, could be whatever, right? So, yeah, Springbreeze I just think is a more logical choice to go with the deck, since, you know, the Criff actually won't give them the straight up... like, playing Criff would give them the straight idea that we're playing Ezel, right? But at least with this, they'll have to at least see exactly what we have once we get to the pieces of our deck. But yeah, for the triggers, it's pretty simple, actually. We're just focusing on front triggers. And the reason I decided to focus on fronts, even though we can stretch our numbers just a little bit to get around defensives, I feel like it's just more logical a way that... like, around the strategy that Platina Ezel's focusing on, right? You've got Percival making these extra Excel markers, and then you want Platina Ezel to then fill these markers up with new units, whilst at the same time plussing. So you really want to make sure that these units that you're calling out from the deck with Platina are getting enough power so that they can be utilized enough, right? So I feel like the fronts just are more effective. And also, you got to think, with Platina, once you've got to the full skill of checking both drive checks, you're essentially digging 4 cards deep into your deck. So as long as you can see one front, you're in a good spot, right? And that's going to be the most useful way to consistently get to the front triggers, is by checking the top 2 with the Platina. And the fact that you're digging those 4 cards deep, that's more likely to happen. So that's why I decided to go for a front trigger build with the deck, and I just think that makes the most sense. And then last but not least, of course, we have our 4 draw PGs with Mark and our Elixir Sommeliers to wrap the deck up. And of course, went for the older school units here as well, just to bring up, since these are some of the old school units that we had back in the day, made new. But yeah, guys, that is essentially my standard Ezel deck. So really enjoyed bringing this deck to you guys. I've been playing this deck the most online. And like I said, I'd probably say it's my favorite standard deck to play right now. It's not necessarily like really insane in terms of in comparison to other decks, but it's just really fun to play with. Like, even though it's not like top end, top tier sort of deck, it's still rather fun. And like I said, it's probably the most fun I've had with an Ezel deck for a good while in the V series, and I just think this is really, really nice. So yeah, that's going to do it for the deck, guys. Like I said, stay tuned, because we will be doing a premium deck profile for Ezel on the channel, which will be the next day after this video. And then we'll have a really short thank you video coming out for Bushiroad and Vanguard, celebrating the 10-year anniversary. But yeah, guys, thank you very much. Thank you for those that stick around and watching my content. I really appreciate it, and it's why I do the content, right? It's just fun to do. I find this just fun to do. Even though like even though there's like small things like not getting loads of views or something like that on a video, it doesn't particularly bother me too much, because I just enjoy the video creation and doing it whenever I feel like doing it, rather than like forcing things out. I think that just adds to the enjoyment of this channel and why I keep doing it even after like 5 years, right? So yeah, I'm just going to stick around, keep doing what I'm doing, and yeah, I hope you guys stick around as well. So once again, thank you very much, guys. Once again, stay tuned for that premium profile, the little thank you video that I've prepared, and yeah, we have Overdress to look forward to later this year. So it's a very exciting time for Vanguard. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I'm going to wrap it up here. So thank you guys very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one, which will be very soon. So take care, guys. This is Guardian 25 signing out.